And welcome back to another Paul's Aquariums unboxing video. I am Paul, this is Paul's Aquariums, aquarium shop in Brisbane for the last 26 years. We have lots and lots of awesome fish. We have Australian natives, non-Australian natives, heaps of awesome fish. Yes, we're gonna get started with the smallest box because that's sensible, and there's a tiny little, oh, there's multiple little bags. Oh, that's weird. We're used to one giant bag. Rainbow fish. Okay, these are Baku River rainbow fish. Come from the Baku River, which is in the Northern Territory all the way to Queensland. These, I'm pretty sure, come from sort of the middle of Queensland, so otherwise known as a desert rainbow fish. These are pretty awesome. So as they color up, they're going to go like a lovely greeny, bluey, yellowy color. So more greeny yellow. Awesome, awesome fish. They're going to max out about that sort of 12 centimeters or so, like most standard rainbow fish, maybe a little bit bigger, and they widen up as they get bigger. So these are awesome for ponds in southeast Queensland because they're going to survive really cold to really hot. So like down 5 degrees all the way up to like about 35 degrees Celsius. So they are extreme temperature fish. Very, very hardy as long as it doesn't just jump from one pH to another or one temperature to another. It really, really quickly, they will tolerate. So they're going to survive anything from a pH of 6 to nearly 7.5, 8 sort of thing. So extremes in water quality because they come from such a weird climate. But we have lots and lots and lots of Baku River rainbow fish. Schooling fish, so try and get 6 or more. Awesome fish for ponds. You can keep them with things like goldfish and so on and so on. We'll get a decent size, but they're not going to harass many other fish. Awesome native fish. There are a lot of fish in this video. Okay, we have boxes and boxes and boxes of really cool fish. First bag, what have we got? Oh, okay, did not expect them. We have some barbs. We have black ruby barbs. Haven't had these for a couple of weeks. These are sort of like a tiger barb, not as aggressive as a tiger barb, still got the stripes, and they're called a black ruby barb because they have that lovely red ruby color on the males and sort of a black tinged body. So they go from red to solid black. Females still have the stripy pattern. The males still have the stripes, but they're sort of in between or underneath the color, if that even makes sense. So when they're stressed or when they're little, they all look striped, kind of like a tiger barb. When they mature and they get about that 5-6 centimeters, awesome, awesome fish. If you want something a little bit more rough and tumble than small neon tetras and stuff like that, but not as nippy or as aggressive as tiger barbs, black ruby barbs are an awesome fish. Anything from 6 to 7 pH wise. Temperature wise, you want them between 22 and 26 degrees Celsius, and you want a group of them, so try and get that 5, 10 more sort of thing. Anything less than sort of 5 and they kind of go around and sort of nip at other fish, but if you have a group of 5 or more, they're generally going to be nice and peaceful. Most of the schooling fish in the wild live in great big groups, so the more you have, the more they're going to sort of relax and do their own thing. But black ruby barbs back in stock. They should breed black cherry barbs. That look kind of cool. Anyway, next bag. Oh, super tiny little nano fish. Okay, these are Freshwater Raspora or Dwarf Raspora, about 2 centimeters. So 1.5 centimeters, 2 centimeters, super, super tiny. Don't keep these with bigger fish like the ruby barbs you just saw because they will go inside the ruby barbs. These are really, really good. These are really, really good fish if you want something to go with shrimp in nano tanks because they're so small, they're going to struggle to even eat baby shrimp, which is quite good for the shrimp. Probably not too good for the Raspora. But if you want to keep them both together, you don't want the shrimp to get eaten. So go for these. These are awesome. Again, schooling fish, anything pH from 6 to 7 and keep the temperature between 22 to 26 degrees Celsius. They'll be fine. Schooling again, so 5 or more. Awesome little tiny, tiny fish. Look really nice in a small tropical planted tank. Okay, we're getting lots of cool fish, which of course we are because there are lots of cool fish. Pantadon butterfly fish. Okay, these are an African fish that looks like a dead grasshopper has landed in the tank. They are bizarre. They sit on the surface. They're not upside down. Everyone thinks they're upside down. They're going to get about 12 centimeters. So probably the biggest one in the bag is about maybe 8, 9 centimeters. So they get a little bit bigger again. Very weird, super cool fish. If they get spooked, they actually fly out of the water. Yes, flying fish that are freshwater from Africa. So pH, again, slightly acidic, so 6.5 to 7. Temperature, again, that 24, 26 degrees range. You can either have a group or just one. You do need a decent surface area, so you wouldn't want any more than 2 in something like a 60 by 30 centimeter surface area. And yeah, hopefully they will get along and not hate each other and just chase each other around like mad. But if you want something really, really bizarre and cool, Pantadon butterfly fish. They're probably the only fish that kind of looks that weird. I remember seeing them as a kid and just going, what on earth are they? They are such a cool tropical fish. You can keep them with slightly bigger tetras and Raspora and smaller barbs. Don't want to keep them with anything nippy that's going to nip on the fins, because they sort of sit on the surface and they got all these little dangly things, and you don't want things coming up and going nip, 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 because that is not good for the fish. Nip, nip, nip. Okay, ridiculous amount of awesome fish in this video. Freshwater moray eels. Okay, these live in half the world. I know, they're sort of like your freshwater eels, but they are a true moray eel with the double jaw thing like Alien. Yeah, moray eels have like their jaws and then little jaws inside. So they open their jaws, the little jaws come out, grab the food, and they pull it in. Yeah, you do not want to get bitten by one of these. So these are only small, like a little bit bigger than a pencil. So these are freshwater tiger moray eels. There's a couple of them at least in there. I can see another big bag. They're going to get around about 1 meter long, so about 3 foot long. They will survive anything from 6.5 to about 8.5 in their pH. Full freshwater, you don't have to add salt. The way that they breed though is the same as other freshwater eels. They go into the ocean to breed, larvae go back up the creeks. That's why they're sort of native to a lot of the world, because they breed in the ocean. Very awesome, awesome things. So yeah, if you keep them with fish, they most likely try and eat the fish, because that's what moray eels do. But we've successfully had them with fish over the years. You just have to be very cautious about what you put in with them, if they're bite size or if they're going to harass the eels. But an awesome, awesome fish. And obviously because they're an eel, they're going to push out and try and get out of the tank. So make sure you got the full lid blocked on the tank. Otherwise you'll see them one day, gone the next. You'll wonder what happened to your moray eel, and it'll be underneath the couch, dead, unfortunately. Unless you have a lot of water under your couch, which if you do, you've got probably more problems than a missing moray eel. Nip, nip, nip. More awesome fish. Okay, these are, what are these? These are Hoplo catfish. Of course they are, because I'm looking there and not there, and I'm like, what is that? That is a Hoplo catfish, South American awesome fish. If you've seen any of my fish room videos, you know I've bred a few batches of them. Bubble nest builders, awesome fish. They're going to get around 20 centimeters or so. These are the spotted Hoplo catfish, not the normal Hoplo catfish that are brown and get a little bit bigger. So sort of like a dwarf spotted version. Now, they were like $60 at the start of the year, and they keep coming down and down and down and down and down and down and down in price. Now they're like under $30 each. So awesome time if you want some Hoplo cats. I'm pretty sure I got a fair few of them. There's only a couple in this bag, but there's other bags of them there. You'll see them on the screen, hopefully somewhere. Hoplo catfish, awesome, peaceful, bubble nest builders. They're going to get big enough that they could probably almost eat a little tiny half-size neon. Big adult neon, Cardinal tetra size, they're not going to bother eating, but you can keep them with slightly bigger tetras, bigger Raspora, barbs, all that sort of stuff. But they're an awesome fish if you want something that's going to swim all over your tank and rummage around, eat food. Of course they eat food, but they don't eat algae, but they're going to eat gunk off the bottom, food pellets. Food pellets? They're going to eat food pellets. They're not an algae-eating catfish. They're a cool whiskered catfish, but going to eat from the surface and you name it. If you come towards the tank, they're going to see you and come up and do their whiskery catfish stuff. So super cool pet catfish if you want something for a nice community tank. pH-wise, anything from 6 to 7, and temperature-wise, anything from 20 degrees up to 28 degrees. They will be fine. You can have one, you can have a group. They kind of do better in groups. So if you have a group of like 3 or 4 or more, you'll see them out and about a little bit more often than just one or so. There we go, Hoplo catfish, yay! Awesome, awesome fish. A ridiculous amount of awesome fish. Okay, these are royal whiptail catfish. Yes, royal whiptail catfish, one of the bigger types of common whiptail catfish you can get. These will get huge, around about 30 centimeters long. They look like a twig. They're a twig with a sucker mouth on it. Awesome, awesome fish. Yes, I know, they will get, as I said, a decent size, but they look like a twig, but they're an algae eater, so they're super peaceful. You could have a 30 centimeter one of these in with little neon tetras. They're not going to eat the neons or anything like that. They're a scavenger, so if you have a dead or dying fish, they're going to munch away on that, but they are not going to hunt down any fish or anything, so on and so on. Awesome fish. You want at least a 60 centimeter tank for one. They're not overly active, but they have a big, long tail. So cool. But royal whiptails, South American fish again, pH just below 7, so anything from 6.5 to 7 is fine for these guys and girls. And yeah, tropical, so 22 to 28 degrees Celsius, and you can't go wrong. You can have one, you can have a group, don't have to have a school of them, but obviously you need a decent sized tank if you want more than just one or two. Whiptail catfish, royal whiptails, woohoo! White ghost knifefish. Okay, we're getting, yeah, a lot of awesome fish. There's got to be some boring ones in here somewhere, but white ghost knifefish are the black ghost knifefish of South America, those weird things that look like a knife with no eyes that just goes bizarre all over the tank. But these are the sort of cow-patterned brown and black version. I know, they are the same fish, just a different color. I don't know why they call them a white ghost knifefish, because they're sort of kind of more browny black spotted, but they are pretty awesome fish. They go by electricity in the water, so they don't really go by eyesight, so you can have clear pipes in your tank and they're gonna hide in the clear pipe thinking that they're in the dark and you can still see them, which is really, really awesome. They will get big. They're gonna get like 30, 40 centimeters. So big enough to inhale neon tetras and stuff like that. And they're not that great at catching fish, but they are nocturnal. So at night when all the other fish are asleep, they're on the prowl trying to inhale little fish and shrimp and stuff. How cool is that one? Look at that one. You can either have a group of them or one. If you have just two, one's gonna harass the other one to the point where they're gonna drive each other crazy 9 times out of 10. So if you have more, it evens up the aggression. Just make sure you got 2 or 3 little hidey holes for each fish and they'll settle down. But they will get very, very big, awesome fish. I think we've got the black version as well. Let me see if I can find them. And we have the black version as well. Okay, so these are the same as those ones, but these are the normal black ones. So these are what they look like in South America. So pH 6 to 7, tropical fish again. So keep them about that 25, 26 degrees Celsius range. And yeah, they will get a decent size. So you want at least a 90 centimeter, 3-foot tank for one adult one of these. Yeah, very, very cool fish. So they don't even look like a real fish, do they? Yeah, I don't know. There are so many weird fish in this video. I'm sure there's a lot more and probably even weirder. You don't get much weirder than that, but black ghost knifefish back in. And we have fish from China and Japan. Okay, cold water fish. These are kind of normal compared to all the other ones, but these are medakas or Japanese rice fish. Oh, and they're a decent size. That's awesome. I think we have a fair mixture of different colors. So we've got gold ones, platinum, black, probably a mixture of different colors. These are really weird fish to breed because they have like a cluster of eggs that look like grapes attached to the girl, and then they will spread those eggs all around the tank on leaf litter and plants and stuff like that, and you end up with tiny, tiny little babies all over the place. Very easy fish to breed. If you mix all the colors, you get weird mixed colored babies. If you stick to the plain colors, you'll get the plain colors. But a very awesome fish called Japanese rice fish because they come from rice paddy fields and stuff like that. They're technically shape of a grain of rice, kind of, sort of, kind of. But they live in Japan and China and that sort of area, so they'll survive really, really cold, like 5 degrees all the way up to like 25, 30 degrees in some circumstances, but they don't like it too warm. So try and keep them unheated. Awesome pond fish if you want something small that's a little bit different than white cloud mountain minnows and goldfish and stuff like that. Lots of medakas or Japanese rice fish back in. Normal goldfish, well, kind of normal. These are black moors, so black goldfish with googly eyes, round belly and a double tail. That's not really a normal goldfish, is it? Well, black moors are kind of normal goldfish, but they are just a different shape and color of your normal goldfish. Black moors, awesome, awesome. They're going to get huge. Obviously from China, they're just sort of a line-bred mutation. Think of them like dogs, different shapes and colors that produce weird shaped goldfish with the googly eyes. They're going to get huge, so between that 25, 30 centimeter size, which is a pretty big fish. So you want at least 60, 80 liters per goldfish to give them a good life, and they're going to live a long, long time. I think reports over 50 years are not uncommon. They like it cold, so below 20 degrees Celsius, and slightly alkaline, so pH just above 7, you will be fine with goldfish. But black moors, and I think we've got probably a few other cool goldfish. Oh no, look at them. Oh, look at them. Okay, these are pearl scales. So these are like the black moors. They're still goldfish, but they are round and they look sort of, yeah, like they've got like lumpy scales to them. So they sort of look round, deformed, lumpy scales, sort of like a golf ball, I suppose you could say. Golf balls with fins. Now, this sort of strain won't get as big as black moors and normal goldfish, but they're still going to get that 15 centimeter diameter on average. Yeah, they are like a stunted round goldfish because they are a stunted round goldfish. Now, if you're going to keep these with normal goldfish and things like black moors, you really have to make sure these get the food because they are slow, wobbly little balls with fins. And if you have them in the same tank, then you fast goldfish, not even these are a little bit slow. Your normal goldfish are going to race over, eat all the food before these wonder what is even happening. Because they're just going to sit there and go, oh, food? What food? What food? Bubble, 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 because that's the noise that a round goldfish makes. Bubble, bubble, bubble. We've jumped to South America, Serpe tetras. Now, these are a normal type fish. These are a little bit nippy, so you don't want to keep them things like guppies and delicate big flowing tails. They are a nice bright red South American tetra, pH 6 to 7 and temperature anything from 22 to 26 degrees Celsius. Lovely fish. They're going to mature about that sort of 4.5 centimeters schooling, but again, you can keep them with tetras and little corridorous catfish, but nothing with long flowing fins because they're just going to nip at the long flowing fins. But Serpe tetras, South American as I said, so you want to keep the pH 6.5 to 7 and ideally 22 to 26 degrees Celsius, they will go fine. Keep a school of them, so more the merrier, sort of like the black ruby barbs. So if you go 5 or more, they're going to do a lot better than just having 4 of them or a few sort of thing. If you only have a couple, they're going to just terrorize each other the whole entire time and it's not going to be great for anyone. So try and get a decent school of them. Absolutely awesome in a planted tank because they go bright, bright red. Nice fish, really, really nice tetras, which have been around for, a long, long time. Very cool fish. And we have Harlequin Raspora, so otherwise known as lamb chop Raspora because that's a little bit easier to understand why you would call them that because the Harlequin pattern is just weird and confusing and they don't even tell you about Harlequin patterns at school, but they tell you about lamb chops for some weird, twisted reason. Who even knows? But these are a Raspora, so like an Asian tetra, you keep your pH between 6 and 7, schooling again, so 5 or more of those, and yeah, tropical, 22 degrees, 26, they will be perfectly fine. Really, really pretty little fish. So they go really well in community tanks with tetras and so on and so on. Going to max out about that sort of 3.5 centimeters. So not overly huge, but an awesome color to them, awesome pattern, lovely schooling fish. You want something a little bit different and peaceful, Harlequin Raspora. More reticulated loaches. Okay, another Asian fish. These will get big enough to harass neons and all sorts of stuff. They're going to get about 20-25 centimeters. But they are awesome snail eaters. So if you've got barbs and slightly bigger tetras, things like the Serpe tetras we just saw in that, these will be fine. If you've got them with little delicate guppies and stuff and neons, no, eventually it's going to wipe them all out. They are really good at digging into the substrate too, so if you've got active substrates and lots of plants, probably don't want these because they're going to spend all their time digging into the roots of the plants to try and get worms and snails and stuff like that and destroy everything. But they are really good at eating snails and an awesome little bottom-dwelling catfishy loach thing, because a loach is like a catfish if you want something a little bit different for community tanks of slightly bigger fish and even sort of smaller Central American and South American cichlids. I was going to say tetras, but they are okay with tetras, bigger tetras like silver dollars and stuff like that. Red blue Columbian tetras, all those bigger rough and tumble fish, they will be fine. And they change pattern as they get bigger as well. So pH wise, 6.5 to 7 is perfectly fine. And again, 22, 26 degrees Celsius, you cannot go wrong. Very, very cool little things. Yo-yo loaches, reticulated loaches, there's all sorts of names for them. Golden butterfly loach is another common name. Too many common names for the one type of fish, but there they are, awesome fish. So I feel like I've over-ordered this week because there are a lot of fish and we've still got boxes to go, but we have these, and these are pretty awesome as well. Again, more tetras from South America. You won't find these in the wild. These are albino black neon tetras. So the normal black neon tetras, I'm pretty sure we got last week in the last week's unboxing. If you haven't seen any of those unboxings, there's a link at the end of this video. You can just go crazy and watch all the unboxing. These are the albino versions. So not that boring. They are sort of yellow with a white stripe, a nice red eye, decent size again, so about that 3 to 4 centimeters easy, schooling, peaceful, awesome tetras, 6 to 7 pH and 22, 26 degrees Celsius. They will be fine. Keep a group of them. They are pretty peaceful. So you can keep these with guppies, you can keep these with loaches, all sorts of stuff. And they're a decent size, so they're not going to get harassed by many things. All round, awesome little fish. And the albino just gets rid of all the brown, so they just make them even nicer. So lovely, lovely little tiny tetras. If you want something nice, bright, easy to keep, awesome fish for your community tank. And more barbs, but these are super peaceful barbs. Okay, I think last week we got the longfin cherry barbs. These are the normal cherry barbs. I was going to say these are the normal longfins. No. The longfin makes the other ones not normal, and these ones not having the longfin makes them normal. Yes, so they will go bright red, hence the name cherry barb. Super peaceful again. Get the size of a neon, so about that sort of 3.5 centimeters max. Really bright red and peaceful. These are the red ones. If anyone's come into the shop and seen them in our display tanks and they're bright red, that's what these go like. That's what these go like. Yes, they do. As they mature, so these are probably only about maybe a few months old, looking by the size of them. Once they get about 6 months old or so, bright red for the boys. Females are sort of a browny, sort of tan color, but if you have the girls and the boys together, the boys color up for the girls and even look more impressive. But cherry barbs back in. Okay, there are a lot of neon tetras because I think last week was the first week in like 3 weeks we had neon tetras. There's a lot of neon tetras. There are tanks of neon tetras, so yeah, there's a lot of bags of neon tetras. I'm not going to pull them all out, but South American fish again. If you don't know what a neon tetra is, we practically have them just about every unboxing video except for the last 2 or 3 before the last one, because we didn't have any. But usually we have albino ones, green ones, all sorts of types of albino, green neon tetras. Well, that's maybe the only 2 other types. Occasionally longfin neon tetras too. There's a few other awesome ones. But red, blue, awesome peaceful fish. Keep them in groups again. They're not going to harass really anything. And yeah, you want a school of them. So 6 or more. And South American, so anything pH 6 to 7. Temperature wise, they'll survive a little bit cooler, so 20 degrees up to like 25 degrees Celsius, and you can't go wrong with them. Really, really nice fish. Chinese sucking catfish. Okay, now these are a little bit of an issue because they will tolerate the water a little bit colder and the pH a little bit higher, so people keep them with Africans. While they're small, the Africans are okay with them. When the Africans get bigger, they kind of pick them off, even though these will get about 20 centimeters long. Don't have any armor or anything like that. So you can keep them with smaller African cichlids while the African cichlids are small, and they're great little algae eaters. Or you can keep them in community tanks, but they will get big, and when they get big, they kind of harass slow-moving fish like angelfish and stuff like that. If you keep them with goldfish, they will suck on the sides of the goldfish and be a complete disaster. So ideally you want to keep these with sort of bigger barbs, fast-moving tetras, stuff like that. They'll range in temperature anything from 18 degrees up to like about 28 degrees. pH-wise, anything from 6.8 to about 8 or so. Big range of temperatures and pHs, but they're sort of not that compatible with a lot of fish. You can keep them with bigger sort of South American and Central American cichlids, as long as the cichlids can't eat them. Yeah, you just have to be very picky about what you keep them with, but it seems like we have a big mixture of golds and normal ones, and very cool fish. They will get, as I said, a decent size. Keep a group of them or just one. If you have 2, sometimes they can harass each other. So yeah, buyer beware, but a very cool catfish if you can tolerate them harassing bigger, dumb fish. Don't keep them with dumb fish. There you go. And lots of female half-moon betta fish. Oh, goody. Oh, they are really nice too, from what I can see in the bags. It's going to take them a couple of days to color up, but as you can see on the screen, lots of awesome colors. Now, female betta fish over the years have gone from boring brown to the same amount of color as what the male betta fish have, which is a Siamese fighting fish. Wow, but you can keep groups of girls together. So you want to keep like 4 or more together. Sometimes if you only keep 3, you'll get one harassing the others. But if you have 3 and one's harassing the others, add another 2 or 3 and it evens out the aggression. So unlike the boys, these do better in groups, not on their own, but you can keep one on its own. You just don't want to keep them with any sort of fish like guppies or big flowing fins because they're going to nip at the guppy's fins. But you can keep them with tetras and other sort of tropical fish that are fast moving. So these are a tropical fish again, so you want your pH between 6 and 7 and you want your temperature anything from 24 to about nearly 30 degrees Celsius. They like it warm, they like the water slightly acidic, very colourful, awesome fish. They're going to spend all their time picking at shrimp and trying to kill them, so don't try and mix them with shrimp because it's not good for the shrimp. They will love it, but the shrimp will not. But yeah, smaller schooling tetras and stuff and you can't go wrong, but how nice are they? There are some really nice females. Be quick if you want some of these because we do sell out super quick and it's random when we get them in. If they're nice like these, oh, there's a green one. Oh, there's so many cool ones. Or if they're just kind of weird, but these are nice. Come get these. And because I totally forgot to add them to this video, we also got Cardinal tetras in this week. Cardinal tetras are like a neon tetra, but obviously they have the red on the belly. Like the water a little bit more acidic, so between a pH of 5.5 and 6.5, and they like the temperature a little bit warmer, so 26 degrees, 30 degrees Celsius. Otherwise, schooling, peaceful tetras, super awesome. I also got a few fish from home. Yes, I thought I'd add them to this video. So if you've seen any of my fish room videos at home, you'll know that I breed a few different fish. There's some golden gouramis and some more Senegal Bashir or Bircher. So the Senegals are only $100 each. Sounds expensive, but that is not expensive for Australia. Yes, so if you want some of those, contact me on social media or drop by the shop, but I have 6 of them currently available if you want some awesome fish. And while we are here, I thought I would show you a couple of other things that have turned up this week. We have an absolutely huge axolotl in our axolotl tank, and it has the weirdest colored pattern to it. That's the face of him there. Look at that. I know, he looks like he's kind of got mold on him, but it's not mold, it's just the pattern. Huge, big female axolotl. I think she's like about 27 centimeters long. Let me see if I can just upset her by touching her, just so you can see how big she is. This is when I get bitten on camera. They don't really bite, but if they do bite, you sort of know about it. Look at the monster. Okay, she's huge. That is a standard size axolotl. That is the giant monster that needs a home. Yes. So not only did we get an axolotl, there are a ton more fish. So let's go back to the video. Black widow tetras or black skirt tetras, again, South American fish. Half the world calls them black widow tetras, the other half calls them black skirt tetras. So call them what you will, they are a cool tetra that's gonna get like a 20-cent piece size, maybe even up to a 50-cent piece size. Schooling South American, so 6.5 to 7, temperature-wise 22 to 26 degrees Celsius, and you will be fine. School of them, so try and get 5 or more. Again, a nice peaceful tetra. If you want something a little bit bigger, they can go with neons and so on and so on. Just an awesome tetra that's got a nice black skirt pattern to it, if the skirt was on the back of the fish, not the bottom, which is kind of weird. It's half skirt black tetras, half black skirt tetras. Cut. Ember tetras. Okay, these are tiny as well, not as small as the Maculata Raspora at the start, but smaller than a neon, so they max out about that 2 centimeter size on average. Bright red because that's the color of an ember, so orangey red. They're not bright red, bright orange because that's the color of an ember. Ember tetras, schooling again, so you want that pH between 6 and 7, and yeah, temperature wise, anything from 24 to 26 is going to be fine. Keep a group of half a dozen or so of these and they will be fine. How cool are they? They're very small, brightly colored, awesome little nano fish. Look great in a nano tropical community tank. Some fish for me. Guess what they are? They're mine. Odessa barbs. Okay, another Asian barb, but these are really cool. So they get sort of an orangey red color to them, a purpley sort of gray. Really nice barbs. They're going to max out around that sort of 6 centimeters on average. They're not overly huge, but really colorful. And I can see males starting to get a little bit of color in the bag. So hopefully on the screen, you can start to make out males and females. They will look a lot nicer than that. So Odessa barbs are one of the really cool barbs that doesn't get overly huge, not super tiny. and schooling again, so you want to keep a group of 5 or 6 of them. pH-wise, 6.5, 6.8 is perfectly fine, and temperature 22, 26 degrees. Can't go wrong, but Odessa barbs finally in for a few people that have been wanting them lately. I bet you don't watch this because this is like way into the video, but Odessa barbs, awesome, awesome fish. Yes, we ordered heaps of coolie loaches. I think we got 7. 7 coolie loaches. They're not on the screen because there's only 7 of them. Maybe next time we'll have more. More fish for me, I know. I'm addicted. Ironically, the last fish is for me as well. I'm sorry, I'm not going to tell you what those were, but this is a wild-caught Oscar. Such an awesome fish. Okay, why do I need another Oscar? Because I've got one wild-caught Oscar that I've had for the last year or so. It's now a decent size and it looks amazing. We can get these in, like a little tiny Oscar like that size, which is about 5 centimeters or so, retails for about $50, $60 to give you an idea, as opposed to $16, $12 for a standard one. But they have a really, really unique pattern to them. If you watch my last video of my fish room, which I think was like last week if you're watching this on upload, otherwise it's in the fish room video somewhere there, you'll see the wild version. No, this is the wild version. You'll see the bigger adult version of this, which they do get a decent size. I think I've still got some albino tiger Oscars for sale in the shop, but I only got one of these because I don't know if anyone's interested in wild Oscars. If you are, tell me on social media or in the comments and I can always get some in for customers. But this is my fish as well. Anyway, that was the very long unboxing video. Lots of awesome fish. Anyway, thank you very, very much for watching. Thank you to all my members, which will be on the screen about now. If you want to watch any other videos, just click the little linky things on the video things. If you want to become a member, you get a discount on everything in store. Just follow the links in the description-y thing and we will see you there. Thanks heaps for watching.